Dear audience, Assalamu alaikum. A gracious welcome to you all on the second round of first inter-school English debate competition organized by Bangladesh Television Chattogram Center. Debate is a powerful tool for creating an innovative and logical mind. It also helps to develop the personality of people. Dear audience, today the selected motion for this debate competition is public awareness is more effective than law to prevent child marriage. The team for the motion belongs to Bangladesh Elementary School, Chattogram. The team against the motion belongs to Sylhet Cadet College. Speakers for the motion are Mariam Humaira, Zedin Anan Uma, and their team leader Waziha Chaudhuri. Speakers against the motion are Cadet Wafiq Mustary Rahman, Cadet Mashkur Al-Razi, and their team leader Cadet Muhammad Abrar Fahim. The honorable adjudicators of this session are Saudar Naushad Imtiaz, Head of Marketing, Confidence Salt Limited; Taslima Akhtar Badhun, Associate Professor, Institute of Fine Arts, University of Chattogram; and Ridwan Alam Adnan, former President, Southern University Debating Society, Director, Arcline. The topics on which our honorable judges are assigned marks to the constructive round are Presentation 5, Language and Pronunciation 10, Presentation of Theory and Information 15, Argumentation and Rebuttal 10. The topics on which marks will be awarded in the rebuttal round are Presentation 5, Language and Pronunciation 5, Argumentation and Rebuttal 20. Dear viewers, now we are going to introduce our honorable moderator of today's program who will conduct the inter-competition and announce the results at the end. The honorable moderator of today's competition is Abul Momen, Ekushe Padok recipient and eminent journalist. Now I would humbly request you, sir, to come up on the stage and take your seat. Before we start the debate, let me inform you about the order and time allocation of each debater. Each debater will get 5 minutes to present his speech. An alarm bell will ring on the 4th minute and the final bell will ring on the 5th minute. In the rebuttal round, both the team leaders will get 2 minutes each. Alarm bell will ring on 1.5 minutes and the final bell will ring on the 2nd minute. Dear viewers, you can enjoy this episode on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Our Facebook page link, facebook.com/btvchattogram. Our YouTube channel link, www.youtube.com/@btvchattogram. Now I most humbly request the honorable moderator to preside over this session and start the debate.
Welcome to all of you, the participants, the judges, and the viewers. Today we are going to have a very interesting and I hope a lively and constructive debate between two eminent institutions of two different cities of the country. One is Bangladesh Elementary School of Chattogram and the other is Sylhet Cadet College, Sylhet. The participants, you have already heard their names, so I would just start the debate and ask the first speaker from Bangladesh Elementary School, Chattogram, to begin her speech, Mariam Humaira.
Ruxana was only 16 when she was married off. She was really happy. After all, being a bride was always her dream. But that dream turned into a nightmare when her first child was born dead. She always wanted to be a mother, but unfortunately her young body could not handle the pregnancy. Now all she could do was cry and regret. Honorable moderator, I want a world where no Ruxana has to suffer. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Before starting, I would like to define the key words, law and public awareness. The law is a set of rules that are created and enforced by the government. On the other hand, public awareness means the people's knowledge and understanding of a certain topic. The reason why we place public awareness before the law is because the law can only stop child marriage when it has already been initiated, but public awareness can stop it from its roots, before it even happens. Honorable Moderator, public awareness will not only allow people to know of the malignance of child marriage, but also present them solutions to prevent it. In our argument, we will put forth the reasons of child marriage, effectiveness of public awareness, shortcomings of the law, and a solution to hopefully reduce this problem. First, let us know the reasons of child marriage. Girls Not Bride, one of the leading NGOs against child marriage, states that 74% of child brides are from the lowest income families as they're married early because dowry typically increases as child gets older, since our society believes that older girls are less attractive. 75% of them are illiterate as child marriage increases with illiteracy. 54% of these are victims of discriminatory gender norms imposed by our oh so great society. Honorable Moderator, if we observe these situations, then we can see that they all have one thing in common: narrow mentality of the people. Ladies and gentlemen, so what can solve these people's mentality? Will handing out laws like hotcakes work? Certainly not. The only thing that can change people's negative mindset is public awareness by raising consciousness. For example, let's just look at Radha. Radha Sharkar was just 14 years old when she was forced to marry, but she escaped and joined an NGO called Plan International. Now, she's a globally renowned women's rights activist. She and her group of wedding busters have prevented over 20,000 child marriages. They raise public awareness and empower little girls into brave women. Manufa was one of the girls they saved. When her father was interviewed, he said, "I did not know that child marriage was illegal, so I didn't think it was necessary to educate her." Honorable Moderator, we can look at this story from two perspectives. First, how public awareness can prevent child marriage, and secondly, that only writing laws in the Constitution isn't going to solve any problem. Instead, we have to let the people know about the law through public awareness. Honorable Moderator, Child Restraint Act 2017 states that the legal age of marriage in Bangladesh is 18 for females and 21 for males. So, if one of the betrothed is below the legal age, then it is considered child marriage and therefore punishable by law. Honorable Moderators, the law already exists, and yet 52% of our women, I repeat, more than half of our women are being married off before the age of 18. Source UNICEF. Why does this happen, ladies and gentlemen? It happens because most of these cases go unreported. The problem with the law is that it enforces fear into people's mind instead of actually explaining why child marriage is bad. That is why they cannot actually prevent all these problems from happening, but they can certainly stop it, and we're not denying that. The only way to solve these problems is by raising public awareness. Honorable Moderator, immoral people simply abuse the system. Many families hide child marriage in order to preserve their reputation. Many even go out of their ways to forge certificates and lie in the marriage registers. Learned opponents, if you say that stricter laws can solve these problems, then that would be simply the same as sweeping dirt under a rock instead of actually cleaning it. So, instead of trying to make stricter laws, we have to make the people aware so that these problems go away forever. We have to increase people's consciousness. Remember, prevention is better than cure. And besides, if you propose that stricter laws as a solution, then you would be agreeing that current laws are not as effective. Honorable Moderator, by no means are we saying that the law is ineffective, but we can undoubtedly say that public awareness can cure the negative mentality of the people and raise consciousness. This is why we believe that public awareness comes first before law. Thank you.
Like to invite the first speaker of Sylhet Cadet College, Cadet Mustary Rahman.
just before 3 years, when the COVID-19 started to prevail all across the whole world. At that time, we were being made aware by using social media, newspapers, and so on. But did it actually make us aware? Not up until when the government started implementing some rules and regulations which made it obliged to obey those, and as a result, gradually the whole infection numbers were coming in control. Respected moderator and honorable panel of judges and everyone present here, Assalamu alaikum and a very good day to all of you. The debate is going on the very topic, which is public awareness is more effective than law to prevent child marriage, and for some valid reasons I'm standing against the motion. As the first speaker of my team, I shall be discussing about how child marriage is happening in our country and how the role of law is occurring in it. Second speaker will be describing about the implementation of law against child marriage. Third speaker will be describing about the influence of law against child marriage. According to a report in Daily Star, it stated that Bangladesh is one of the highest country which has the highest number of child marriage. Now, what are the reasons behind it? The reasons behind it are poverty, illiteracy, social norms, traditions, and so on. According to the Child Marriage Restraint Act passed in 2017, it stated that when a boy below 21 years and when a girl below 18 years commits or is seen to marry each other, then that should be termed as child marriage. Now, when we think of law is what that provides a framework within which individuals and groups can interact safely and thus can help to shape social norms and values. Respected judges, what is the real state of poverty? When poverty prevails in an individual's life, then that very individual even fails to fulfill the daily demands of himself. He is left with an empty stomach, and as a result of which, his ethics at that time just flies the very window. At that very time, he can commit any type of crime if he needs to. In the same situation, when a family falls, then that very family is sometimes seen to be forcing their daughters to marry off to her in-laws. At that time, no family can or her daughters can really resist her family's decisions. And as a result, we can see that law can help that very victim in two ways. Firstly, it can provide support to that very victim, and secondly, it can hold those offenders accountable. Respected judges, according to the Household Income and Expenditure Survey published in 2022, it stated that the poverty rate of our country at present is 18.2%, where areas at national level, where areas in rural areas it was 20.5%. I repeat, the poverty rate of our country at present is 18.1%. Now, what's rather interesting is that people from the poverty lines who don't have even the ability to go to schools or any other educational institutions, even they are the ones who are becoming educated and are many times seen who are contributing in the development of our country. Now, how is it becoming possible to do so? The literacy rate of our country currently states at 74.91%, where areas in 2010 it was 57.91%. Then in present, the literacy rate of our country is 72.81% of the female population. Now, my dear audience, a rather interesting part here is that even the poverty people are getting the chance of getting educated. How is it becoming possible to do so? It's just because of one thing, and that is the law. We all know about the educational law of Bangladesh, where the government of Bangladesh made compulsory education for all citizens up to grade 8, where primary and secondary education were made free of any cost and fully funded by the state. This widely shows that if law is implemented in the society in the right manner, then a society can change and a society can expect development out of it. Talking about development, all of us know that we are trying heart and soul to become a prosperous country. Talking about prosperous country, we are also trying to achieve the goals of SDG. According to SDG, we must end child marriage by 2030, where areas our national target is to end it by 2041. Now, for this, our progress needs to be 17 times and 8 times faster, respectively. So we do definitely need something which is consistent as well as effective. Law is certainly the thing that we have to implement in this regard. Now, if my opponents are suggesting that we have to implement awareness in this regard, then I think they are being foolish of themselves. Because, my dear audience, all of us know that awareness never really can stay consistent, and nor can it stay effective for a very long time, as it changes in the very course of time. Awareness is a state of being conscious in mind, where areas law is exactly what helps to create that very awareness. So when you are chanting that you have to raise awareness in the society, you really are giving the message to the society that you have to obey the law. Because through awareness, the message that you are trying to give to the people is that to come into the way of law. Because when law is going to prevail in the society, then people will have no chance but to accept the law, and thus we can expect a society which will be a reformed version of now what we have today. Because in this present society that we have is full of religious superstitions, not only religious superstitions in fact, is full of family traditions, other traditions, and many other social norms. These, in fact, are deeply rooted in the fabrics of our country. And as a result, if we want to uplift those, then we have no chance but to help or take the help of law. With this, my part comes to an end. Thank you. Thank you all.
Now it is the turn of the second speaker, Zerin Aran Uma, to defend the motion.
Child marriage, a tragic plight, robbing innocence, stealing light. Let's raise our voices, take a stand to protect children's hand in hand. A very good afternoon to my honorable moderators, respected judges, my fellow opponents, and the people who are present here today. Our today's motion believes that public awareness is more effective than law in preventing child marriage, and me and my team will prove it with some logical explanations. I am a girl. I'm 17 years old. Still, I'm getting all the facilities, all the opportunities, all the financial support from my family to study yet. But a girl named Sabina in Rupnagar was just 14 when she became a child bride in Bangladesh. According to the informations of Prathamalo in an interview of July 12, 2022, Sabina's mother cried and told, in 8th grade, we pulled Sabina out of school and gave her marriage. After that, within a year, my daughter became pregnant, but her in-laws and her husband did not want her to carry the child. But Sabina refused to abort her baby, so her in-laws deceived her into taking medicines that terminated her pregnancy. My dear opponents, again she became pregnant, and this time her in-laws demanded money from her mother. When her mother refused it, they start torturing Sabina. They start abusing her. Her husband Yusuf was getting married to another girl. By not tolerating all this, she committed suicide. My daughter committed suicide on 3rd March 2021. My dear opponents, not only Sabina, thousands of girls, lakh crore of girls in Bangladesh are facing these types of problems, are committing suicide. My dear opponents, now my question is, at that point, why no justice was given to her mother when her mother cried in the interview and asked justice for her daughter? Why no law was taken place at that moment, my dear opponent? Why no law was implemented at that moment, my dear opponents? Secondly, my first speaker already proved and clarified that public awareness works first and then law came into work. My dear opponents, I'm not denying the fact. I'm accepting the fact that a country cannot be ruled without law. But my dear opponents, in this fact, we have to create public awareness at first and then law will take place, my dear opponents. Let us show examples. A girl, Yasmin from Mymensingh, she was married at the age of 17, but in every night her husband used to torture her. He tried to link her with an illegal work, but she refused. She took stand against her husband with the help of World Vision, which is a non-governmental and non-profitable organization. With the help of that organization, she get the courage to left her husband to start a new life, and getting a new life started work with that organization. My dear opponents, in this fact, no law was implemented here, no law take place here, no law was established. So my dear opponents, can you deny the fact that now that public awareness is more effective than law in preventing child marriage, my dear opponents? Secondly, my dear opponents, I want to show you another example. When a 15-year-old girl, Farzana Akhtar, learned through her neighbors that her family was planning to marry her off, she went to a local member of Women Development Forum, Shefali Akhtar. She helped Farzana and took up prompt actions and sat with the parents, and after a long discussions, they were able to stop the marriage. They were said. My dear honorable moderators, I'm not rejecting the importance of law. Without public awareness, law cannot be established, my dear opponents. Our honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina already stated in a conference of September 2021, where she stated that government have created law, but the people of our country have to change their mentality, have to be literate, have to learn where to establish the law and where not. And next, it about villages, a place where all the people believes in superstitions. Let me show you an example. Think that a child marriage is occurring in a village, and let's think police came in. Villagers gathered together and the police stopped the wedding and arrested the accused. The villagers believes in superstitions that if a girl's wedding is broken, no one can marry that girl, that they seem the girl as a curse to the village. So my dear opponents, At this moment, maybe the groom's father will leave the village, or maybe bride's father may attempt suicide, not being able to handle the humiliations. Now my question is, will law take the responsibility for such occurrences, my dear opponents? And if still my opponents have not agreed with us, then at this situation their condition is as though we know the truth, but we will not accept it, we don't want to hear it, or we don't want to express it. Because we are not reality based, we are topic based. Me and my first speaker already proved about the public awareness. My third speaker will explain the dark sides of law, public awareness, and other information. After hearing all this, if they still deny, though knowing the truth, if they want to put their hands in their ass, then very sorry to say that they are the main obstructions in stopping child marriage. Thank you.
I would now invite Cadet Mashkur Al-Razi of Sylhet Cadet College for his deliberation.
Let's imagine two kinds of scenarios in an examination hall. In one of them, the examinee getting caught adapting unfairness gets expelled from the exam, and in the other one, the student after getting caught gets a brief explanation of moral degradation regarding it, and the teacher tells him not to do it again. Learned opponent, in these two situations, which one is more suitable for more effective for preventing unfairness? My question remains to you, my learned opponent. Most respected moderator, honorable panel of judges, learned opponents, and all those gathered here, Assalamu alaikum and a very good day to you all. Today in this occasion, the topic selected is public awareness is more effective than law to prevent child marriage. For obvious reasons, I along with my team is standing against the motion. In my speech, I'll be focusing on 4 points how implementation of law is acting against child marriage. Firstly, the legal obligation and deterrence. Secondly, enforcement and accountability. Thirdly, protection of vulnerable individuals. And lastly, social and cultural resistance. Law is such a thing which makes everyone bound to follow the rules, whereas a person who is not bound to obey the rules, and when a strict law is implemented, he gets aware of the awful consequence he has to face for violating it, and thus he refrains from doing so. And just like this, when a law is imposed upon child marriage, every time a father pursues his daughter to engage in child marriage, will keep in mind that he will get an imprisonment of at least 6 months and compensate an amount of at least 2 lakhs taka. 28 April 2022, Dhaka Tribune. A girl commits suicide as her father insists her on marrying on to 40 years old man. In these type of situations, a girl has nothing to do but either to listen to her father or to commit suicide. A suitable law for protection of these vulnerable individuals can save lives of many other individuals who are victims of it. Let me set forth an example. 28 March 2021, Dhaka Tribune. A 14-year schoolgirl from Gaibandha district was saved from early marriage by the local administration as they took immediate action to stop the marriage after they got a phone call from the neighbors on the child helpline number 109. Just like this child helpline number, many more can be saved by the implementation of the suitable laws and suitable regulations. It's not like that Bangladesh doesn't have any law against child marriage, but the thing is, Bangladesh stands 147th among the least corrupt nations of the world. Here, neither the law is very strict nor the existing laws are implemented properly. But if we go with the existing laws, if we can ensure the implementation of it properly, we can assure you that we very soon will be able to abolish the child marriage from the society. But the main reason why it is still prevailing in our society is our age-old traditions, beliefs, and social superstitions. Child marriage has been in our culture for a very, very long time. Here, a girl can do anything when a society gives consent to such kind of practice like child marriage. And already, I think the first speaker of my learned opponent already told that the narrow mindset of the age-old traditions is the reason why awareness is not yet working to eliminate child marriage from the society. Let me set forth you an example. Starting from 1812, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, who was an eminent scholar at that time, had been trying to abolish the Shati system from the society. But despite all the efforts he had given to raise public awareness, he had been failed to do so until on 4 December 1829, Lord William Bentinck, the Governor General of then British India, imposed the Shati Regulation Act 17, which made the Shati system illegal in all of British India. The punishment for such kind of violation was death or lifetime imprisonment, making people afraid and thus refraining from do so. At that time, neither the literacy rate was very high, nor people were very much solvent. But how can law is something deeply enrooted like thing was removed from the society just by law implementation? There goes the answer for you, my learned opponent. Awareness mainly puts an impact on the ethics of a person. Without the backing of law, public awareness campaigns were surely and must struggle to dismantle deeply enrooted things like child marriage. Both law and ethics, they set standards of expected social actions, but law is the thing which enforces them, and ethics, they just sets forth social guidelines. How can my learned opponent think that something deeply enrooted in the society which has been practiced for many ages by our ancestors, like child marriage, will be abolished from our society just by a thing so-called public awareness? With this question remaining, I would like to conclude my speech here. Thank you, dear audience. Thank you all.
Bangladesh Elementary School is defending the motion, public awareness is more effective than law to prevent child marriage. Now it is the turn of the team leader, Baziha Chowdhury.
Learned opponents, you are stating our points. That means you agree that law is ineffective. There is a well-known phrase which is prevention is better than cure, but the country where the police comes after the child marriage is already accomplished, my dear opponents wants me to believe that law is effective than public awareness. Thank you, Honorable Moderator, for giving me the floor to speak. Today's motion believes that public awareness is more effective than law to prevent child marriage, and I'm in favor of it. For a minute, let's agree that laws are more effective. Then why a helpless father has to stand outside the police station just to file a case against the molestation of a daughter? Then why women like Rehana, a 26-year-old from Mymensingh, still crying for justice who was gang raped by some man of her village? Source Pratham Alo. Honorable Moderator, Section 9 of the Prevention of Violence Against Women and Children Act 2000 states that rape was punishable by death. And that's the maximum punishment for rape is life imprisonment in Bangladesh. Then why the housewife of Narail was gang raped on June 22 of 2021 even after the maximum punishment for rape was dead? Still, why the number of rape cases are not decreasing? Where is the justice, my dear opponents? Similarly, although child marriage has lost, still our women folk have to suffer behind the closed doors because people still don't know about the laws. And that's where public awareness occurs, my dear opponents. Honorable Moderator, October 25, 2020, a 14-year-old from Katia village, Tangal, reportedly died due to genital bleeding. She was married off with a 35-year-old man, Rajiv, who is an expatriate. He had sexual intercourse with her, disregarding her consent and injurious health. Source, The Daily Star. It was not sexual intercourse, it was rape, marital rape, my dear opponents. But he was not even considered as a rapist, because according to the panel of Bangladesh, marital rape is not even considered as an offense unless the wife is less than 13 years. Is this the effectiveness of your law? Did law go and check what was happening with the poor girl inside the closed doors? No, right? Now let's talk about those reasons why we think public awareness comes first and then law. Public awareness can reach out to a huge amount of people in a short period of time, which is not actually possible by law. It is the first step to let people know about enforced laws. Suppose a child marriage is happening in your area, who will come there first? Police or the neighbors? Certainly the neighbors, my dear opponents. They can make the parents understand about the effects of child marriage and take steps to stop it. And if necessary, they can take help from the law. In this context, also public awareness comes first and then the law. Honorable Moderator, on 2015 in Nolachar of Hatia Upajala, Noakhali, a mother moved in like a tigress to save her cub from the curse of child marriage. She fought against the husband for her 13-year-old daughter, Shumi Akhtar, who was set to married off by her father, Dulal Mia. Her mother reached out to take help from a local NGO, Shagorika Samaj Unnayan Sangstha, to stop her daughter's marriage. And she succeeded. Within a couple of days, the NGO admitted Shumi in CDSP IV month-long training on tailoring, which eventually helped her to earn money. This non-governmental organization play a great role and create awareness among people. They empower girls to education, vocational training. In Shohipur village of Pabna district, an organization was created by 10 women, Amra Jege Achi Nari Sangstha, with help to stop 50 child marriage in the year 2015. Source UNICEF. Besides, NGOs are creating employment for the women in rural areas, and the thinking of the parents are, girls are of no use. They're a burden to us, because they cannot help them financially. By providing vocational training and creating a source for employment, the social activists try to prove that girls can also have social status. Because of doing this, the parents think that let's not get them married and why earn them some money? And this is how the NGOs are saving girls from child marriage. A question can be arised by my dear opponents that how can we spread public awareness? Let me give you a solution. First of all, I would like to mention that an aware person can change the whole society. So in order to implement awareness, we will have to first ensure that each household has an aware member who will actively discourage malpractices like child marriage. This can be made possible by spreading education and enhancing the literacy rate. As a result, these people will play a significant role in changing the whole society. But unfortunately, due to the crippling electricity rate, this has not been made possible till yet. Second of all, social media can be strategically used to spread awareness as it is one of the largest contributory factors behind the social change in the current day and age. Example, #MeToo movement, through which women raise their awareness against sexual harassment, and social media played an effective role in this. Newspaper and school curriculum can also help create awareness against child marriage. To battle child marriage, which is caused by religious misinformation, can I get 10 more seconds?
Yeah, you finish it.
Certified religious scholars can play a great role in this regard by publicly speaking against such misinterpretations. And here I'd like to end my speech. Thank you.
I would like to call Cadet Mohammad Abrar Fahim, the team leader.
In our country, around things like "Don't spit here" are written in the walls at many places of our country. But yet, what we are seeing that people are spitting on those very walls where they are told not to spit. Isn't it shocking? But when you look at Singapore, according to the conviction, people are not allowed to spit in those walls where there's a fine of $1,000. From this scenario, it is evident that when there was the law in Singapore introduced, then the Singapore was neat and clean, and we see the effects of awareness in Bangladesh that when they were told not to spit, they're still spitting here. Respected moderator, honorable panel of judges, and all of us gathered here, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good day to all of you. We have all gathered here to witness the debate, and me and my team stand firmly against the motion, against the topic that public awareness is more effective than law to prevent child marriage. My team's previous speaker already said that how the enactation of law and its enforcement and other various kind of things. And by the end of my speech, we'll get to know that why law is more effective and more necessary to prevent child marriage. My opponent's first speaker said that through various NGOs, they're preventing child marriage and other stuffs. And through empowering women through education and through making them understand the consequences of child marriage, they're actually changing the perspective and mentality of the social things. But can they actually have an effect on those people of our country? Now, if you see, we can see that Niger has the highest rate of child marriage all over the world. And the state of income, illiteracy rate, poverty is devastating. But in comparison to that, Bangladesh is quite developed in those sectors. Yet, Bangladesh has a high rate of child marriage of 52%. Why is that? It is because of the prevailing long-term tradition that has been inhibited and rooted in the minds of the general people of our country for a very long time. And also, the second speaker of my opponent team said that these kind of bad culture and rules are inhibited in our society, and they want to state that they want to change it through awareness. But is it possible though? But through law, we see that it binds a people or person, an individual, by making them afraid and refraining them from child marriage. As we already got the example of Bangladesh and Singapore, then when there was law, people were afraid and they conducted everything very nicely. And when the people in Bangladesh, they were aware about the spitting fact, they could not do it. And now, my opponent team said that in spite of having a law enforcement in our country, why there is still 52% rate of child marriage in our country. They also agree to the fact that there is less implementation of law in our country. And that is why, and I must say that I also agree with them that because of the law, less implementation of law, our country cannot decrease the rate of child marriage in this case. But if we look at our neighboring country, India, we see that the literacy rate is 77.7%, while the poverty rate is 15%, while that of Bangladesh, it is 74.9%, and our poverty rate is 18%. And if we look at the child marriage rate of Bangladesh is 52%, while that of India, it is only 27%. In spite of having similarity in the stats of poverty and illiteracy, why is there such a huge difference in the rate of child marriage? Is because if we see the Child Marriage Restraint Act of India in 2006, we'll see that the law states that if one is convicted of child marriage, then he has to face a penalty of 1 lakh rupee fine and 2 years of jail. And that is also quite similar to the law of Bangladesh. Then how did, and in the year 2005 to 2006, according to UNICEF, India had a child marriage rate of 47%. But then how India could drastically decrease the rate of child marriage within this short amount of time? And if we look at the World Justice Project for the Strong Law Index, we'll see that Bangladesh stands at 127, while India stands at 77. So it is clear that only through the enforcement of strong law and its implementation, India could decrease the rate of child marriage in such a significant amount of short time. Still, my dear opponents, could you still deny the fact that only through strong law enforcement that the rate of child marriage can be decreased significantly? Question remains to you. And my opponents are stating that through the law cannot support or protect the rights of the victim. But can awareness do it though? Now, if you see a recent news published in Prothom Alo on 11th March 2022, a female college student in Sripur Upazila of Gazipur was stabbed by a youth named Naman Mia, age 22, when her family refused her child marriage, and now she is admitted in the hospital in a critical condition. By this news, we can have a clear idea that the girl was aware of the fact of child marriage and the consequences, yet she didn't take the help or the use of law to inform it to the local administration. As a result, her security was hampered. In this case, can the awareness provide security of the girl? Question remains. Thank you, my dear moderator. Thank you, judges. Thank you all.
Now we begin the rebuttal phase. And the first to come is Baziha Chaudhuri for the motion.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak once again. Respected opponents have again and again repeated the general functions of law, but as we have stated how effective is law, 10 out of 11 enforced laws are not even implemented in our country, my dear opponents. The first speaker of my opponents has mentioned that the Child Marriage Act of 2017. I would like to say that according to Prothom Alo, 288 cases of child marriage have taken place every month in this year. Child Marriage Prevention Act, which was first implemented back in 1922, has yet not brought any benefit, and we have already stated that the problem lies in the mentality, and this mentality can be changed by collective effort only. Law forces people, and public awareness explains. For example, if you scold a child not to do something, he or she will come up with something to do that. But if you teach them why the thing is bad, he will never do that. For instance, many people forge birth certificates to legalize child marriage. Dear opponents, first speaker, you have mentioned that law is providing people with education, but I think you have confused it with policy. As our first speaker have given the definition of the law as a set of rules, the thing you mentioned is governmental policy. The development steps such as removing poverty and illiteracy falls under government policy, which is not a part of our debate, my dear opponents. Opposition second leader has asked which one is better during exam disqualification or lecture. Certainly disqualification, and that is exactly what we are trying to prove. The student was disqualified after he cheated, but if he had awareness, he would have not done that. Truth is truth. Fact is fact, truth is truth. Truth does not need to be decorated. As it is a reality-based debate, you have to put your biased belief and widen your eyes. Thank you so much.
Now the turn is for against the motion team leader, Cadet Muhammad Abrar Fahim.
I think my opponent's team speaker didn't hear my previous speech. I already mentioned that the law implementation of Bangladesh is not correct, and I already gave the example of India about it. Then why are you still arguing on the fact that there is a lack of implementation of law in Bangladesh, and that is not creating the decrease of child marriage? And she also mentioned about the child law of 1999, that actually there is no recent act law in Bangladesh prevented in 1999. It was the recent act law of 1929. And secondly, as my second speaker of my team already mentioned about the examining hall example, where he said about awareness and he said about the obliged rules of taking away or expelling the copy. And she's still saying that if they could aware the students about this, then the students would not cheat. But in our school, everywhere we see, when a copy is expelled, when this rule is applied, only at that time the students can realize, and he refrains himself from doing that. And whenever he or she is told about it, he simply cannot do it because she has the scope for it. Ultimately, to get good marks, she or he has to adopt the unfair means. And if you're talking about the effective of awareness, now let us consider a packet of cigarette. The manufacturers who produce cigarette, they write in the face of the cigarette that smoking is injurious to health for the consumers. But what we see that even after seeing this, the consumers takes out the cigarette, lights it up, and throws away the packet in the dustbin. And is this the condition of the public awareness you're talking about? Then in what way public awareness is actually working? But true law is prevalent everywhere. Even in nature, we can see law is there. And all the things like the rotation of the earth, the revolution of the sun, the ebb and flow, the flow of river, all of this are the laws of nature. And the nature teaches us that even when there is a problem among these things, then calamity occurs, and that is the punishment. Similarly, in our society, when there is law, then there is a system. And we can easily say that law is more necessary or more effective in preventing child marriage. Thank you, my dear audience. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Before we get the result sheet, I think I can speak a few words to the young debaters. We have enjoyed the debate and feel like that it began and ended because the young debaters could keep us engaged in their oratory. They had preparation, and also could address the subject for both for it and also against it. The topic was public awareness is more effective than law to prevent child marriage. So speaking about marriage, specifically about child marriage, they both are against it as we are. And we also have a consensus that there is public awareness is needed and law is also needed. But only that which one is effective more. So that is the point of debate. And we enjoyed it that one group wanted to say that public awareness is more effective, and the other is saying that it is law which is the effective tool. We understand that these two will actually supplement each other. We need public awareness. Unless there is public awareness, we do not have the feeling of that we need a law, essentiality of a law, that actually from the public awareness, public opinion, that we go for a law, that we need a law for such thing. When new situations arise in the society and people, the conscious people, conscientious people, they raise the question that we need such and such law. In that way, we develop different laws in the country, laws for maintaining a good public health system, or law for stopping hill cutting in Chattogram and Sylhet. Such laws have been actually promulgated, formulated in the ministry or in the Jatiyo Sanshad, and then promulgated in the country, just because people developed those ideas that we need such laws in the country. So in the meantime, we have the result in our hand, and winner team of today, they are very closely, we have listened to a very closely contested debate. Team today, winner team is Bangladesh Elementary School, Chattogram. And the best speaker is Waziha Chaudhuri. So with these words, I welcome all of you and wish that you too will exchange gratitudes. So we end today's debate here.